Film Festival Radio, Saturday afternoons at 3 on KSHP, North Las Vegas, AM and FM, K29, 6HP, North Las Vegas, and KSHP.com.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey accumulates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
All right, what's going on, everybody? A very happy Friday, post-debate coverage today. Thanks for joining us on PTL. I'm Brian Shapiro, and you could be watching, listening on the FM AM dial KSHP, of course, on the Occupy Democrats Network, on the Washington Press Network. We're on TikTok, we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're on X, we're everywhere, and we appreciate you being a part of the show. Never once in the 20-plus years I've been on radio have I ever lied. I've made mistakes. I've retracted things knowing that I've said things that I may have been wrong about. I'll be the first person to admit that. I try not to let that happen very often. But never have I shared my opinions with you because it's something that people want to hear. I'm not in a cult. And I'm not a right-wing idiot that does a conservative talk show that coddles and wears the Donald Trump knee pads or the Joe Biden knee pads, quite frankly, because it's not who I am. And I'm going to give you my honest opinions of what I saw yesterday, but I'm also going to give you honest distinctions between Joe Biden supporters and Donald Trump supporters. I will start by saying this. The first 5 minutes of the debate yesterday, I was concerned. Joe Biden looked like an old man because he is an old man. His voice didn't sound good. I understand that he was sick. And if they knew his voice was going to sound like that, then they should have postponed the debate a week or two. He was coughing a lot. His voice was very low tone. He wasn't able to be forceful. He had a few brain freezes. He stumbled over his words, and I'm not talking about a stuttering complex. And I was disappointed in his performance last night. Did he win on substance? Absolutely. But I'm not in a cult. We are not in a cult. We're willing to admit that. But I'm not willing to sit here and say that Donald Trump won anything. He didn't. Though Joe Biden probably lost the debate last night, Donald Trump didn't win it. Donald Trump continued with his lies, despicable behavior, not answering one direct policy question. He was asked about January 6th, and he used that time, instead of answering a question, to talk about immigration. Donald Trump was asked multiple times whether he would be willing to say that if he loses the 2024 elections, he'll admit that he lost. He didn't answer anything directly, so this was not a situation where Donald Trump won anything. He was the same jerk. I was disappointed in Joe Biden's performance, and I'm scratching my head because I've seen highlights of Joe Biden's campaign rally in North Carolina today, and he looked good. He looked like the Joe Biden that I thought we would see last night. He looked like the Joe Biden that I thought we would see, that we did see in the State of the Union address. He didn't look like that last night. Now, I'm not making excuses for Joe Biden, but if they're saying what I believe they are saying, in that he's had a cold and he wasn't feeling great, then maybe they shouldn't have done the debate yesterday. Maybe postpone it a week or two. I'm not the only person that feels this way. Now, we are going to go through the lies, right? Because Donald Trump lied a lot. And let me be very clear with all of you. I will vote for a vegetable, and I'm not calling Joe Biden that, but I would vote for a vegetable over Donald Trump. This does not change my opinions or how I'm going to vote. And I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and she got upset with me. She's a staunch Joe Biden supporter. I said, look, Joe Biden didn't have a great debate. Joe Biden didn't do well. Oh, you're turning your back on Joe Biden? No, I'm not. I'm not turning my back. I'm never going to vote for Donald Trump. That's impossible. It's never going to happen. All I'm saying is I was disappointed in Joe Biden's performance yesterday from a physical standpoint. Is there anybody that could look at me with a straight face and say Joe Biden did a great job and he was forceful? He was good on substance. I'll give him that. On the abortion issue, on January 6th, on a lot of other issues, which I tend to agree with him on. He was good on substance, but we knew that was going to happen. Joe Biden needed to be forceful, and he needed to prove to those American people that are still on the fence that he's up for another 4 years, and I'm not sure he did that last night. Donald Trump didn't do anything. Donald Trump didn't move the needle on his side. He didn't do anything. He was the same jerk, bragging about his golf handicap, deflecting from January 6th, deflecting about answers about election integrity. We knew we would see that from Donald Trump. But Joe Biden needed to be a little bit more forceful, and he wasn't. And I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm not going to start today. I've always been honest on this show, and that is my assessment of what took place last night. Now we're hearing rumblings. Are they going to put somebody else in there? Well, I got to tell you, I only have 3 people. And I'm not saying that they're going to do that. I don't know. You ask me, should they do it? I think it could be considered. And I don't know if these 3 people would be willing to run. But if they are, I would take any of these 3 people right now, today, over Joe Biden. Gavin Newsom, Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton. I believe Michelle Obama, and again, I don't think Michelle wants to run. I don't think she wants to be anywhere near the White House. But I'm just giving you that name out there. Hillary Clinton. Don't know if she wants to run. Don't know if she wants to go through this again. I think she'd have a good chance to defeat Donald Trump. And I think Gavin Newsom, very eloquent in the way he speaks. Good-looking guy, intelligent, knows how to debate. I would be okay with those 3 choices. I don't know if they're going to do that. I have no idea. But I will tell you this. The Vice President, Kamala Harris, is in Las Vegas today. And I would be at the rally right now if I wasn't here with all of you. It was a very contentious interview that Anderson Cooper had with the vice president, and I want to play that for you right now. I want to play you at least a little bit of it. I agree with some things the vice president said, and I disagree with some of the things that she said, because keep in mind, this was right after the debate. She appears on CNN with Anderson Cooper. Have a listen to this exchange.
True. All that may be true. But the president of the United States was not able to make that case to Donald Trump on the stage tonight. I mean, you debated against then Vice President Vice President Biden 4 years ago, and he was a very different person on the stage 4 years ago when you debated him. You must, I mean, that's certainly true, is it not?
Anderson, the point has to be performance in terms of what a president does. A president who incites an insurrection against the Capitol. No, but I got the point that you're making about a 1.5-hour debate tonight. I'm talking about 3.5 years of performance in work that has been historic.
But whether it be infrastructure, the man who we saw on the stage tonight, is that the person you see in meetings every day?
The person that you saw on the debate stage that has, for the last 3.5 years, up until today, performed in a way that has been about, whether it be in the Oval Office, negotiating bipartisan deals, so that we have an infrastructure, a real infrastructure plan where we're putting trillions of dollars on the streets of America to upgrade our infrastructure. Whether it be the person I see in the Oval Office who is meeting with heads of the military and the intelligence community and in the Situation Room, ensuring the safety of America. The person I see in Joe Biden on the world stage, convening world leaders who often ask for his advice, most recently just during the G7 conference. So I'm not going to spend all night with you talking about the last 90 minutes when I've been watching the last 3.5 years of performance.
Okay, so I think that's a little disingenuous, and while I understand what the vice president is trying to say, last night was a night where he had an opportunity, a big win for the Biden-Harris campaign. Joe Biden had an opportunity to prove to those in the middle, kind of like what he did in the State of the Union, right? He had an opportunity to prove that he was up for the job for the next 4 years, and I'm not sure he did that. And the vice president needs to acknowledge that. But this isn't about the last 3.5 years. Yes, you want to talk about your accomplishments. You want to talk about what you did. I don't think Joe Biden did a great job in doing that last night. With that being said, I'm still voting for Joe Biden. But the vice president needs to understand that there's a lot of people that watched that debate last night that are concerned that Joe Biden might not be up for the job for the next 4 years. That is just a reality. I'm not going to sit here and lie. The vice president can't be complicit in this, and I understand she's going to stand by Joe Biden, unlike Mike Pence does with Donald Trump. I understand that. But Anderson Cooper was asking very valid questions. Is that the Joe Biden behind closed doors? Now, she's never going to say yes, right? We don't know. I saw Joe Biden today in North Carolina. I've seen the video. He looked great. So maybe it was just a really bad night and he was off. That's possible. But I can only go by what I saw last night. He was the normal Joe Biden that you saw in the State of the Union today. He wasn't that guy last night. Why? Was it because he was sick? Was it because of the cognitive decline that people allege he has? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not a doctor. He just didn't get it done last night. Now, if he thinks he can do better next time, then do another debate in a month, if the Trump campaign will even allow that to happen, which I'm not sure they will. If not, you got to get somebody else in there. That's my personal opinion. Gavin Newsom, Hillary Clinton, Michelle Obama. And probably 2 out of those 3 would say no. I would argue that Gavin Newsom probably would do it. Speaking of Gavin Newsom, he spoke yesterday after the debate. And listen, he made some valid points. While, a lot of people are talking about maybe the cognitive decline, the fact that Joe Biden, didn't have a good debate last night. Gavin Newsom does make some good points here. Have a listen.
Governor, what was your reaction to what we saw on screen?
Well, not on the substance. He won the debate. I'm old school. I'm old-fashioned. That's what matters to me. I thought the lies, I was taking notes about all the lies. I ran out of paper. Donald Trump, no accountability on those lies, talking down the American economy, talking down our democracy. That was alarming. This is a world we're living in now. Donald Trump created where 13-year-olds have to deliver the child of the person that impregnated them. This is a world that Donald Trump has created. And so for me, it was daylight and darkness. And I'm very proud of the president's record, and I'm very proud for his vision of the future.
Okay, very fair. I don't disagree with anything Gavin Newsom said, but you cannot forget or dismiss the performance, which is important in a debate. Americans saw Joe Biden last night. I agree with Gavin Newsom. I agree with policy and record, but you have to be able to do it forcefully in a debate, and Joe Biden didn't do that. Listen, there are people on CNN and MSNBC that were saying he needs to step down. There were people that were very disappointed in the performance. I'm one of them, of course. But Van Jones is a staunch Democrat and a close friend to Joe Biden and the Biden administration. Listen to this moment, and this is right after the debate where I think most people are being very, very honest. Fox News, OAN Newsmax, they'll never do what Van Jones did yesterday, and that is be honest. Listen to what he had to say on CNN literally minutes after the debate.
There is no 2 ways about it. That was not a good debate for Joe Biden.
Ben? That was painful. I love Joe Biden. I work for Joe Biden. He didn't do well at all. he did not do well at all. And he looked, I'll give you the analysis, you kind of have the old man versus the con man. I can walk you through how I'm supposed to see it and say it, but I just want to speak from my heart. I love that guy. That's a good man. He loves his country. He's doing the best that he can. But he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our convention, and there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he will allow us to do that. But that was not what we needed from Joe Biden, and it's personally painful for a lot of people. It's not just panic, it's pain for what we saw tonight.
It's a very honest Van Jones. We are not in a cult. We can admit when things don't go the way we want them to go. There are people on the other side that are praising Donald Trump and what a wonderful debate he had, which is nonsense. The lies were endless. And if he wasn't talking about how great of a golfer he is, he was lying about the election. He was lying about, listen, I'll name a few of them. I can go down the list and name, over 30 important lies. I'll give you a couple that, in my notes, because I was watching the debate, the notes that I wrote down of some of the blatant lies. So don't you give me this crap, you MAGA morons on the right, that Donald Trump had this great debate. He lied constantly and wouldn't answer direct questions. Constantly. He said that Democrat states allow for the execution of babies after birth. That is a lie. And Joe Biden need to call him out on that. And I'll be honest with you, I'm disappointed with Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. As a moderator, it's your job to separate fact from fiction, and they did not do that. And in my opinion, they failed in their duties. Don't interject opinion, but when somebody lies like that, and that is not true, Democrat states are not allowing that. Blatant lie. He said, quote, every legal scholar believed Roe versus Wade should have been overturned. That is a blatant lie. There's plenty of legal scholars out there that don't think that Roe versus Wade should have been overturned in the last 5 decades. Blatant lie. He said we currently have the biggest deficit budget ever. That's not true. That was under Donald Trump. You could just look that up if you don't believe me. Like lies that could be fact-checked in 5 seconds. Why didn't Joe Biden question him on that? Why didn't Jake Tapper and Dana Bash know that that was a lie and stop him? He said Joe Biden gets money from China. No, he doesn't. If anybody got money from China, it was your stupid daughter who made over $600 million in trademarks from China. Joe Biden and his family have made no money off of China. That is a blatant lie. And Joe Biden needed to hit him back on that. What about your daughter Ivanka, who made hundreds of millions of dollars off the Chinese government? Nobody in my family's made money off the Chinese government. You're a liar and a felon. He said there were no terror attacks under his administration. That there were multiple terror attacks under his administration, under Trump. Blatant lie. He said Biden wants to quadruple your taxes. A blatant lie. There's no policy being put forth or has been put forth that would quadruple your taxes. A blatant lie. And Joe Biden needed to hit back on that. And again, going after brown people and going after migrants and lying like Donald Trump, the orange turd, only can do. He said that most migrants are coming in from prisons and mental institutions. Blatantly false. Blatantly false. But he's done this before. These Mexicans, they're rapists, they're bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people. He does this all the time. He needs to be called out on it. And again, Dana Bash and Jake Tapper didn't do it. Don't know why, but they didn't. Donald Trump said that he deployed the National Guard in Minneapolis in 2020. Folks, you cannot make this stuff up. Not only did he not deploy the National Guard in 2020 in Minneapolis, but it was the Democrat governor that did it. How is it that Jake Tapper and Dana Bash didn't stop him on that? Blatant lies that I knew up here. And then as I wrote it down, I said, boy, let me just double check myself on that one. Yes, I was right. Trump said he lowered insulin costs. And while for a very small percentage of the elderly he did do that, The overwhelming amount of people. Joe Biden lowered and capped insulin at, what is it, $35 a month? Joe Biden is the one that should take the majority of the credit for it, because over 95% of Americans that are getting their insulin capped, it's because of Joe Biden. It's not because of Donald Trump. But yet Donald Trump wants to take credit for it, like all these right-wing MAGA idiots out there that vote against a bill that the Democrats voted for that helps their community, and these idiot Republicans want to take credit for it. They do it all the time, and Donald Trump did it on the debate stage last night. He said that Joe Biden indicted him. He did it again. Why doesn't Jake Tapper and Dana Bash say, no, Mr. President, no, Mr. Former President, Joe Biden had nothing to do with those indictments, and there's no proof to back up what you just said. And then the comments about the suckers and losers. Yeah, I'm sure John Kelly, in his distinguished career, in risking everything for this country, in the years of service, in the decades of service to this country, all of a sudden just decided to make up a blatant lie that Donald Trump called our brave men and women in uniform and those that have lost their lives and paid the ultimate sacrifice suckers and losers. John Kelly put it in writing, and he sent it to CNN. It wasn't a made-up, fabricated story the way Donald Trump tried to make it out to be. But you on the far right, the cultists out there, you want to make the case that Donald Trump won yesterday? He didn't win anything. He was the same old lying scumbag he always is. Yes, Joe Biden was disappointing yesterday. Yes, Joe Biden wasn't as forceful. He was fumbling over his words. Could it be because he wasn't feeling good? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. They did say he had a cold. It was evident when he got on stage. He was coughing. His voice was lower than usual. And then all of a sudden today he gets on the stage in North Carolina and he sounds great. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Yes, there are reasons for Democrats to be concerned. I think it's understandable. Would I vote for Joe Biden over Trump? How many times do I have to say it? Absolutely. I would vote for a vegetable over Donald Trump for obvious reasons. With that being said, it was a disappointing day for Democrats. And I'm not going to sit here and lie like all the right-wing turds do on the radio, both locally and nationally. Trump can do no wrong. Where are all those people out there that said that Joe Biden was going to be on drugs? Some of them actually politicians, elected officials. Where are they? Geez, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I retract what I said. I apologize. Not one Republican is doing that. Where are all the Republicans out there and those Trump surrogates out there that were, complaining about Jake Tapper and Dana Bash? They did Donald Trump a favor. If you want to talk about anybody who was favorable in that debate as far as moderators are concerned, they were both extremely favorable to Donald Trump because they didn't call out any of his lies. I was mesmerized by what was going on stage. Mesmerized. There were a few times where Joe Biden said some things that weren't correct as well, but I was mesmerized that Jake Tapper and Dana Bash didn't call out Trump on his BS, on his lies. Mesmerized. But where are all those Republicans out there, the Sean Hannitys, the Mark Levins, complete turds on the far right, that were saying that they couldn't moderate a debate fairly? Not only were you wrong, but are you willing to apologize? These people won't apologize for anything, just like Orange Turd himself, Donald Trump. They won't own anything. That's all they do. It's going to be an unfair debate. Joe Biden's going to be getting a shot in the ass. There are even some people that were saying that Joe Biden may be on cocaine. They won't retract any of the statements they made. Now, if Joe Biden wiped the floor clean with Donald Trump, you're damn right they would, and they would double down. It's what they do. When Donald Trump loses an election, it was rigged. When he wins, everything must have gone fairly because he's full of crap. That's why you guys are in a cult. You look at the way the news broke down and handled the debates yesterday. I thought CNN did a phenomenal job in their honesty. I thought MSNBC did a phenomenal job in their honesty. Have you ever said the same thing about Fox News or OAN or Newsmax? If Trump has a bad debate or he says something that is just awful, do you ever see these anchors ever call out Trump and say, boy, this was a bad day for Republicans. Boy, this was a bad debate for Donald Trump. Or the first debate they had when Trump was literally interrupting every other word. Did you ever hear Sean Hannity say, boy, Trump had a really bad debate. He was terrible. He was interrupting every other word. No, they don't do that because we are not in a cult. We are willing to admit, and when I say we, I mean people that are not voting against Donald Trump. I'm not even talking about Democrats necessarily. When I say we, I am talking about people out there that are not Trump cultist. We are willing to admit when we see something that we don't like. We are willing to admit that Joe Biden wasn't as good as he could have been or should have been last night, that it wasn't a good day for Joe Biden, that it wasn't necessarily a good day for Democrats. And sadly, in this country, people care more about your performance than they care about substance. And I understand what Gavin Newsom is saying. He's right. I understand what the vice president is saying. Partially, I believe she's right, but we can't be complicit about this. What we saw last night was a very old Joe Biden. What we saw last night was a lousy performance. And I don't want to hear the excuse of, well, it's difficult to debate a liar. Well, then call out his lies. Joe Biden didn't really do that very well. He did it at times, but I don't think he did it very well. There were a lot of things you could have gone with. The 34-count felon. The liable sexual abuser. Sure, Joe Biden mentioned it for a few seconds, but he didn't hit it home. And when Donald Trump had the opportunity, and he took it, to talk about Hunter Biden, Joe Biden needed to hit back strong, and he didn't do it. So I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. I don't work for the Democratic Party. I'm not a Democrat. I don't know what they're going to do. I know that there's people within the party that are probably panicking a little bit. I'm going to tell you this right now, and I haven't said this. I haven't said this ever. For the last couple years, I've been pretty confident that Joe Biden would be reelected. I'm not that confident anymore. I'm worried. I'm not saying he's going to lose, but if he remains in this race, I am genuinely worried. And the Democrat Party and the DNC, they have a decision to make. But if they're going to make a decision and they're going to keep Joe Biden out there and he's still in this race, they need to have another debate and he needs to be able to redeem himself. And I'm not sure that the Trump campaign will allow that to happen. They are in a very difficult situation because I believe if there's not another debate, Joe Biden will probably lose. They need to have another debate. There needs to be a rematch, for lack of a better term. And if they're going to make the decision where Joe Biden is going to step aside, you better put somebody in there that can beat Donald Trump. I believe Hillary Clinton can defeat Donald Trump. I believe Gavin Newsom can defeat Donald Trump. I know that Michelle Obama would defeat Donald Trump. I'm just not sure if she's willing to run. Coming up next, because don't worry, we'll take some calls. I know there's a lot of people that want to chime in on this, but coming up next, I want to hear from the right. A friend of mine who is a political pundit on the right, a staunch Donald Trump supporter and a conservative, Carmine Sabia is going to be joining us next, and we are going to get his thoughts, and we are probably going to get into it because while I'm sure we'll agree that Joe Biden wasn't at his best yesterday, don't tell me that Donald Trump won the debate. He says Donald Trump won the debate. I disagree. So we'll talk about that when we come back. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm never going to lie to you guys. I never have, and I'm not going to start now. I was disappointed in Joe Biden's performance last night, but I do not believe Donald Trump won the debate. But you know what? I think we got somebody on the line that might disagree with me on that one, and he's going to make his case, and that's why I wanted him on. He is certainly a conservative, right-wing media pundit. And he certainly has some views that are definitely different from mine, but that's good. I want to hear the other side, and I want to hear what Carmine Sabia has to say about the debate last night, and he joins us right down the line. Carmine, thank you so much for being here, my friend. How you doing? Carmine, did I lose you? Did we lose Carmine Sabia?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm right here.
We got you. We got you, my friend. Sorry. That's okay. How you doing?
I'm doing better than you, my friend. It is good to talk to you today. I texted you right after the debate last night. I was afraid. I was afraid you might have needed some copium. I was going to send it your way.
I didn't at all. You know, I'm always on. I got to say this though, Carmine. I feel like the right, the way they handle Donald Trump, they're a cult because they never admit he can do anything wrong. When you look at the coverage yesterday and today, and I'm not a Democrat, but I think most Democrats are being pretty honest with what they saw yesterday. I mean, come on. You, from the right, Joe Biden's going to be on drugs. They're going to juice him up. Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are not going to be fair. They're going to be biased. Are you willing to admit that that didn't happen? And don't you think people should apologize for making those claims?
Well, I said I had my doubts about Tapper and Bash, but I also defended their journalistic integrity. I said, particularly with Tapper, I was like, I'm kind of a Tapper fan a little bit. I'm not going to lie. And but I said last night, they did a great job. I think Tapper and Bash definitely deserve an apology. But I wouldn't apologize for the drugs comment, and I'll tell you why. Somebody dropped the ball. Where was the cocaine? Somebody should have gave this man some cocaine.
You can't be serious.
He needed some. Of course, I'm not serious. I'm joking. But the man needed. Bro. Here's why I say Donald Trump won. Now you're going to tell me he told 15 lies in 15 seconds. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
I think it does. I think people do care. I disagree with you.
Listen, here's the problem. I talk to people like you all day long, okay? On the left and the right. I talk to people like you and me all day long. And what do I mean by that? We're political junkies. We live for this day in and day out, okay? We follow this. For most voters, and I've talked to some of them, most people, the only thing they're going to see this election cycle is that debate. And they saw it. And you can't unring that bell. Trump can play those clips 8,000 times. And you got to understand something, too. You say Trump lied about this and that. And I heard some of them, and I cringed, at some of the things he said. I cringed.
Almost everything he said in the entire debate was not true.
Oh, that's not true.
What did he say that was true? What did he say? What did he say that was true?
He said, "I'm Donald Trump, and I'd like to be the president of the United States."
Yeah, that's about
it. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go through it piece by piece. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If I'm you right now, absolutely, I'm pivoting to Trump lied. Okay, I'm pivoting.
I'm not pivoting. I disagree with you, Carmine. For the first 5 minutes of the show, I talked about first 10 minutes. I talked about my disappointment in Joe Biden. I said after the debate last night, if they're not going to have a rematch in another debate, then they need to get somebody else in there. I haven't pivoted. I don't pivot. But I also say that Donald Trump did not win. He was the same a-hole he always is, without substance, lying, not able to answer direct questions about policy. I believe Joe Biden.
Stop yourself.
What?
Stop yourself. Stop yourself. Repeat what you just said. He was the what?
What would I go ahead? Tell me. What did I say that you disagree with?
He was the same a-hole he always is.
Yeah, he's a lying scumbag.
That's what I'm. Well, I disagree, but here's what I'm here to tell you. My friends. He was the same as he always is, and that's why he won. The cake of Donald Trump. Oh, Donald Trump lied. That cake's already baked. That cake's already baked. Nobody cares.
I don't understand the point you're trying to make here. I'm willing to admit, as many, that Joe Biden had a bad debate last night. But just because he was the same jerk, just because he was the same liar, just because he's the same not able to talk about actual policy and what he's going to do for this country and make generalizations and lies, is not an argument that, oh, he won the debate. I think Joe Biden lost the debate. Donald Trump didn't win the debate. He was the same jerk. I don't know why you would say, just because he's the same idiot, that somehow that means he won. Like,
I don't think he's an idiot at all. I think he's a showman, and he put on a show. What I'm here to tell you is that if you go to the people right now, the people on the Las Vegas streets where it's 437 degrees, and you say to them, "Hey, Donald Trump lied last night," they're going to go, "Yeah, but Joe Biden was asleep." And I'd rather have a liar that's these guys are 3 years apart. Am I right in age?
Yes, correct.
They look 30 years apart.
I'm not going to go that far. I will say that while Donald Trump certainly wasn't mumbling over his words, but it's the things he said that were absurd and ridiculous. Joe Biden just couldn't get the words out. But listen, here's the bottom line here.
I don't think he's running the country, bro. I don't think he's running the country.
Well, again, I think that's a conspiracy theory, and that's QAnon stuff, saying that Joe Biden's not running the country. He's the commander-in-chief. He's the president of the United States. And I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I think Obama's running the show or Kamala's running the show.
I don't know if Obama's running it, but I'll tell you this. He may be the president of the United States, maybe the leader of the free world.
Carmine.
But his wife is feeding him applesauce.
Carmine,
with an airplane spoon.
Carmine, did you see any of his rally in North Carolina today? That is absurd.
Yeah,
that's not true.
He was hopped up on amphetamines today for
okay,
sure.
well, there you go again. Come on, man. Don't you think that's but come on, Carmine, you're better than that. Don't you think that's
Joe Biden has two speeds. All right? He has two speeds. I'm going to talk like this, or I'm going to scream on the top of my lungs every single word.
And Donald Trump has one speed: lie and be a piece of garbage. Okay, so we can go back and forth on that. But the point I'm trying to make, though, Carmine, is that Joe Biden had a bad night last night. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor. I don't know where he's at health-wise. Here's what we do know. He wasn't feeling good yesterday. I'm not using that as an excuse. What they should have done is they should have postponed the debate. His voice sounded terrible. That certainly didn't help. You're already dealing with a guy who's got a stuttering problem, who's ill, who's not feeling good, and he's in his early 80s. So that's an appetite for disaster. I blame the campaign for allowing him to go out there sounding like that.
I agree. Listen, dementia is a serious health problem.
We don't know if he's got dementia, so I'm not going to say that on the air.
What I'm going to say to you is this. He had a cold last night. That's the word on the street, right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to say. Yeah.
Where'd that cold go today?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor. We saw him coughing. We saw what his voice sounded like. I mean,
that was a miraculous cold, though. It went away today perfectly.
Oh, no, I don't think it went away today perfectly. His voice certainly
Is it possible?
His voice certainly sounded a lot better today than it did yesterday, but if it's a cold, it's a virus. I'm not a doctor. I don't think that's abnormal. Sometimes you need a day or two to get over it.
Sure, but Mr. Shapiro, is it possible? Humor me for just a second. Is it possible that what we actually saw was what's called sundowning?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Is it possible that what we saw is actually called sundowning? That's when people with dementia, when it gets later in the day,
no, that doesn't cause people to cough. It doesn't. You and I both know what it sounds like, your voice, when you have a cold, when you have a virus. I think, again, you're in the territory of conspiracy theory. We have no idea.
I don't think it's a conspiracy theory.
I think it is.
I don't think
I think it is. We have.
I mean, it's the same conspiracy theory they had about Reagan, right? When Reagan was president, and they were right. They found out later on they were right.
I can't speak to that.
And we're going to find out later on here that we were right.
I can't speak to that, and I guess you could make that claim, but I disagree with you, and the reason why I disagree is because he sounded like an old man that had a cold yesterday. His voice didn't sound good. He was coughing. Dementia doesn't force you to cough. It doesn't sound like you're congested. Dementia does. You ask any doctor, that's not what's going on here.
Sure, no, but how does a cold make you forget what you were going to say and say that sisters are raping people and impregnating them, and we defeated Medicare?
I am specifically talking about what his voice sounded like and the coughing. And I would imagine when you're in your early 80s and you're already getting old and you're not the same guy you were 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, having a cold or a virus when clearly he wasn't feeling good is not going to help your brain think. I'm also saying that he sounded old. He sounded feeble yesterday. And I don't know what the Democrat Party's going to do. We needed the Joe Biden yesterday. The way he was today, we needed that last night. So either you have another debate, and I don't think the Trump campaign would even want another debate. But if you
hell no.
Probably not. So he had
absolutely not.
So if that's the case, then the Democrat Party needs a replacement. They need somebody else in there. I've given the three names: Hillary Clinton, Gavin Newsom, or Michelle Obama. I don't think two out of the three want to run, but I think it's got to be one of those three. Otherwise, you're screwed. That's my personal opinion.
I agree with you. 8,000,000%. And any one of those three would probably win handily.
Right.
Two of them, I agree with you, don't want to do it.
Right.
Newsom really wants to do it.
Yeah.
I heard Whitmer's also being considered. I heard Kamala Harris is furious that she's not being considered.
Whitmer should not be considered. It's got to be Gavin Newsom. If Hillary or Michelle Obama want to run, let them run over Gavin Newsom. If they don't want to run, make the calls today. Today, you have to make the calls.
You don't think Whitmer could win?
I just think Hillary, Michelle, or Gavin are better choices. Let me put it to you that way. That's what I think.
What about Shapiro?
I'd love to run. No, you're talking about the governor of Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Listen, I like him a lot. Okay, I just don't think he's a big of a name yet. I think he needs a little bit more time. I like him.
Give him more time. Okay, I got you.
But these decisions have to be made yesterday, and that's my.
You know who would have been the guy? You go back 3 years ago. Who would have been the guy? Cuomo.
Perhaps. Yeah, perhaps. Not anymore.
Not anymore, but he would have been the guy.
Unless there's going to be another
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a question. If it's not Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Now, let's say it's Newsom or Hillary, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you look? This is, the Democrats, you're not a Democrat, but the Democrats are very deep in identity politics.
Yep.
How do you look your voters in the eye and say, we skipped over a woman of color for a white man?
Well, I don't think they have to make that case. By the way, you could also look at Kamala Harris. Listen, I think she's a very educated, intelligent woman. I didn't like her interview on CNN yesterday. I don't think she resonates with the American people. The polling is not good with her, so I would use that. This has nothing to do with the color of skin, and it should have everything to do with the fact that Gavin Newsom is a better debater. He's more articulate. He's better in front of the camera. He's willing to go at it with Sean Hannity. I have a lot of respect for that. Forget about what people might think about Gavin Newsom personally. That man is willing to go on Fox News. If Kamala Harris is not willing to go toe-to-toe with a guy like a Sean Hannity, then no, I think you got to give it to Gavin Newsom. And I don't think she is, by the way.
I gave Newsom props for going on Fox News into the Lion's Den. That'd be like going on to MSNBC and as a Republican.
Right.
Right. So I gave him a lot of props for that, and that's because he wants to be president someday.
Right.
Gavin Newsom, I'm going to tell you this right now. Gavin Newsom terrifies me.
Yeah.
Because Gavin Newsom is straight out of Central Casting.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I didn't. You know what? I didn't think I was going to say this on a Friday, but I think that Joe Biden needs to be replaced by Gavin Newsom tomorrow. I think it has to happen. It has to happen. Joe Biden, they gave him his opportunity. I think Joe Biden's I know you're going to disagree with me on this. He's a good man. I think he's a decent.
No, I agree.
He's a good man. I like him personally. I like a lot of his policies. I think he's done a lot of good things for this country. Last night was a disaster. And
I disagree with none of that. None of that.
I mean, listen.
I think he's a good dad.
Yeah.
I think he's a good dad. I think he's a good man. I think he loves his country. I think he served his country for decades. But it's over now. And the thing is, he's got to make that decision.
I'm not willing to say that yet, though, Carmine. I'm not willing to say it's over.
but he has to make the decision. Nobody can push him out.
Right.
He's got the delegates.
Right.
So to me, if he's not willing to step aside, and I think Jill Biden really is attracted to that power. I think she's pushing him to stay in. I think he wants to stay in. He wanted to be president his whole life.
Barack Obama,
I
agree with what you're saying, but if Barack Obama gave him a phone call today and said, Joe, we got so-and-so that's ready to go, you got to step aside. I believe Joe Biden, being the good man that he is, he's not a narcissist, egomaniac piece of garbage like Donald Trump, the guy you support, by the way.
why you gotta go there?
Well, because it's true. He's a piece of garbage. He's on the stage yesterday, literally lying about everything. He lied about Democrat states executing babies after birth. That's a lie. He lied about, every legal scholar wanted Roe versus Wade overturned. That's a lie. He said Joe Biden is getting money from China when that, not only is that not true, but his own daughter, Ivanka, received hundreds of millions of dollars from China. He said there were no terrorist attacks under his watch. That's also not true. He said Joe Biden wants to quadruple taxes. That's also not true. He said that most migrants coming in here illegally are from mental institutions or prisons. It's a lie.
Well, no.
He said
let me just take one of your topics, though.
Sure.
Ralph Northam, when he was the governor of Virginia, absolutely said, that you leave the baby on the table, basically, in a third trimester abortion, and you just leave the baby there basically to die.
So somebody made a statement, and I remember that statement, that was factually inaccurate, and it was wrong. But that doesn't mean that, quote, Democrat states are allowing executing babies after birth. Donald Trump is lying. And he says...
I want to read the quote. This is from Democrat Governor Northam. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. That is after birth abortion.
Okay, that is not Democrat states executing babies after birth, which is the verbiage that Donald Trump used. By the way, he also said that Donald Trump, he said that he deployed the National Guard in Minneapolis in 2020. Not only is that a lie, because it is, but the Democrat governor deployed it. I mean, it's unbelievable. He talked about capping insulin when we all know 95% of those senior citizens in this country have insulin that's capped at $35 because of Joe Biden, not Donald Trump. He said that Joe Biden indicted him. I mean, I can go down the list of the absurd and ridiculous things and lies that Donald Trump.
He's talking about these things are being politically motivated. These cases are politically motivated. That's what he's talking about.
No, that's not what he said. Why is it always from a MAGA Republican that tells me, here's what I think he was trying to say? No, here's the direct quote. Joe Biden indicted me. Okay, that's what he said.
Well, when I get fact-checked on Facebook, when I say something that Joe Biden says as a direct quote, the fact-checkers say to me, no, but what he meant to say was...
I can't speak
so it goes
to that.
both ways.
I can't speak to that. I can only speak to this conversation that we're having right now. He also said it was made up, suckers and losers. He blamed the magazine for claiming that when it wasn't.
There's no proof of that.
Okay.
There's no proof he said that.
Okay, well, guess what? There's no proof that he won the 2020 election either, but he keeps talking about that. And guess what? John Kelly, a man who served this country honorably for decades and decades and risked his life for this country, guess what? I'm going to take his word that he put in writing and sent to CNN over the orange turds word. Okay, I'm going to take the word of John Kelly, okay, distinguished veteran who served this country as a general, than Donald Trump. And John Kelly put it in writing. So this wasn't some made-up story, okay? By the way, this is the same guy who said he didn't respect John McCain because he was captured. So I think it's probably not out of the realm of possibility that John Kelly is telling the truth and Donald Trump is the lying scumbag that he is. And this is another example.
I hate what he said about Senator McCain.
I know you do.
I hate that.
Yes.
But I don't think that means that he says it about everybody. And John Kelly has his reasons for disliking President Trump. So, did he take something out of context? Did he? I don't know. I wasn't in the room. I can't speak to what happened there. I like John Kelly as well.
Whose word do you take if your life depended on it? John Kelly, the general, or Donald Trump?
If my life?
Yeah.
If my life depended on it,
Who do you think is telling the truth and who do you think is lying? General John Kelly or Donald Trump? I want to know, Carmine. It's an important question. If you had to guess.
If my life depended on it?
Absolutely. I want to know.
I would take John Kelly if my life depended on it.
That's my only point. Thank you. I appreciate your honesty.
But that doesn't mean that he didn't misunderstand something.
Okay, I don't think it's misunderstanding. We have Donald Trump on the record saying he doesn't respect a POW because he was captured. But I understand what you're saying.
He had a personal issue with that particular man. Okay. I think it's wrong, horrible what he said about John McCain. I spoke about it then. I spoke about it now.
Yeah.
I'm friends with Meghan McCain.
Sure.
I think it's horrible.
The guy who didn't want to go to Arlington Cemetery because it was raining. Okay, come on, man. The guy has a past and a history. I'm willing to admit Joe Biden had a bad night last night. Gavin Newsom,
Trump's a narcissist. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Donald Trump's not a narcissist. He's a narcissist.
He's worse than a narcissist. He's a liar. He's a threat to our democracy. He's still not willing to admit that he lost the election in 2020. He's a liar.
But if lying disqualified presidential candidates, we'd never have a president.
You've never had a president of the United States that lied like this, the way that Donald Trump
I did not have sex with that woman.
Okay, guess what? He was impeached for that, but do you want to compare the two? You think Bill Clinton lied at the same levels that Donald Trump has lied? Do you think that Bill Clinton would have incited an insurrection and wouldn't have admitted if he lost an election? You can't compare the two. Bill Clinton did some bad things. Yes, he lied about sexual relations. If Donald Trump just lied, which of course he's lying about Stormy Daniels, if that's the only lie or that's the only big lie, then I would agree with you. He literally lied about almost every policy yesterday, and he didn't answer a direct question. When he was asked about January 6th, instead of saying, yes, that was a bad day. There were some people that did some horrible things that day. You know what he did? He just talked about immigration. He was directly asked about January 6th, and he pivoted to immigration. It's an embarrassment. Carmine?
I thought that was genius. Listen, you knew if you're Donald Trump, you know there's going to be some gotcha questions. So how do you pivot off those questions?
That's not a gotcha. That's not a gotcha question. Come on.
If you're Donald Trump, you can't come out and trash the January 6ers because you're going to get heat from your base for that. So you can't do that.
You can't
also say that what they did was okay. But I also will tell you that there are people, in my opinion, and the Supreme Court agrees, that were in jail for January 6th who did not belong in jail.
Okay, but that's
being
fine.
Prosecuted who should not be prosecuted.
But I understand that.
They overreached.
But that's not what Donald Trump has said in the past. He's labeled everybody, including those that are still in jail for assaulting police officers, as patriots and hostages. All he had to say yesterday, without trashing anybody, is I respect our courts. I disagree with some of the judgments, but I respect our courts, or there were some people that did some bad things, and there were also some people that maybe were mistreated. There was a way to answer the question, and he not only didn't answer the question and avoided the question, but he turned it into an immigration thing. I don't think that's genius. I think that's cowardly. That's a coward.
Listen, Trump's never going to speak the way you and I speak. He's never going to give the answers the way you and I do.
He's never going to speak.
Brash New Yorker.
He's never going to speak the way a decent human being would speak. There are brash New Yorkers out there that would say if you assault a police officer, you deserve to be in jail. That's not being a brash New Yorker. That's being a coward and a liar. That's what Donald Trump is. I know you and I, listen, you're from Jersey, man. Come on. You know what I'm talking about. There are brash people out there, but there are also people out there that won't attack women on looks. They won't attack our democracy. They won't lie every other word and narcissistic, making it all about me every time. There's a difference between being a brash New Yorker. And by the way, most of those brash New Yorkers do not support Donald Trump.
Sure. So, I mean, it's a liberal. New York's a liberal place. That doesn't mean anything. But listen, most New Yorkers would vote for a glass of water if you put a D next to it. These are the people that elected Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who has the policy structure of a fourth grader.
Well, I would respectfully disagree with you on that one, but I will say this. There's a way to be brash and to be honest. There's a way to be brash and not crap on our military. There's a way to be brash and not attack our democracy and say the courts are rigged, the Emmys are rigged, the elections are rigged. Everything is rigged if I don't like the outcome. He is a whiny bitch. He is not brash. He is a whiny bitch who thinks everything is rigged unless things go his way. And that is not the way most New Yorkers think, and that is not the way most Americans think. He is a whiny, selfish bitch. Carmine, admit it. Repeat after me. Donald Trump is a whiny bitch. Repeat it. I know you want to. I know you want to, man.
No, because I don't believe that. I think Donald Trump is a strong leader, and he's the leader we need in 2024. And I would dare say beyond. Let's eliminate this nonsense of term limits. Just keep Trump in there. Stop the elections, too. Just put him in. Put him in, leave him in.
I know you don't believe that. I know you don't believe that. I know you're joking, but guess what? Here's what's sad about this, right? That's the way Donald Trump thinks. That's the way a lot of these MAGA Republicans. Yes, he does. That's the way a lot of these.
He left the White House. He left
because he was forced to, and he still hasn't conceded, my man. If he had it his way, he'd want to stay in there until eternity, until the day he dies.
Listen, if you saw a lot of these irregularities, you're going to bed, you're winning, you wake up in the morning, you're losing.
Stop it.
I'd have questions, too. It'd be hard for me to accept that.
Yeah.
Listen, I would have conceded after the court cases. But
yeah, he will never concede.
But I understand what's in his mind. I understand why he feels he was robbed.
I understand what's in his mind, too. Stop it. There's no irregularities. Stop it.
There were irregularities in that.
Oh, come on. Stop it with that election. Stop it with that election denying nonsense. That's nonsense. There's going to be a level
I'm not denying it. There was an election.
He had his day in court. He had 61 chances, and there was no merit to any of the cases. They had no evidence of widespread voter fraud. To this day, nobody has presented any evidence of widespread voter fraud that could have changed the outcome of the election.
But let me ask this question, because I've heard this argument before. But let's say 100 people go to the voting booth and they say, I'm John Smith, right? And the person, right, they sign their name, John Smith. They go in, they vote. They're not asked for any ID, right? Vote is cast, everybody goes home. How are you going to prove a negative? They didn't have to show any ID. So how do you prove that if the people who voted weren't the actual John Smith?
Here's the thing, Carmine.
How do you prove that?
Here's the thing, Carmine. None of the Democrats and none of the people that supported Joe Biden have to prove anything because we had a free and fair election. You're the kinds of people that need to show the actual evidence and proof. Donald Trump had to show evidence and proof, and they failed to do so. He lost a free and fair election, and to this day, and on a debate stage last night, he's still not willing to admit that he lost.
What I'm saying is just because you can't prove it doesn't mean it didn't happen. And what I'm saying to you is because you can't prove a negative. So what I'm saying is if somebody doesn't have ID, if they're not the right person to vote, if ballot boxes are being stuffed, there's really no way to prove that.
It's like saying, I think you're a pedophile, but I don't have evidence that you're a pedophile, but, I still think you're a pedophile, and you have to prove you're not a pedophile. Well, wait a second. I've never molested a child.
I didn't say he has to prove it either.
He's the one who's making the claim that the election was stolen. He still is. Why wasn't the election stolen in 2016?
Brian, here's what makes me suspicious. When somebody has to repeat from 2016 to 2020, people were allowed to say on Facebook, Twitter, and without any repercussion, Donald Trump was helped by the Russians with no evidence, no proof that there was collusion. They were Adam Schiff went on national TV talking about collusion that didn't exist, okay? Mm-hmm. And nobody was stopped. All of a sudden, 2020 hits, and if you question the results of this election, we're going to take you off Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you are. We're going to deplatform you, deperson you, and you can't speak anything about the COVID vaccines. When you tell me that this is the word and you can't question it, I immediately have questions.
Carmine,
there's a difference. Keep saying the words free and fair election.
But Carmine, there's a difference between questioning something and making false claims. When he says that the election was stolen and Joe Biden cheated, that's not questioning. Questioning was going to court and making some claims and seeing if they could be substantiated in court, which they failed to do. There's no more.
Wasn't the Russia hoax also a conspiracy theory?
But now you're pivoting. That was proven in a courtroom.
What was proven?
Okay, what was proven in a courtroom is that there was Russian interference online on Facebook. Do I think it changed?
Ads.
Do I think
they took out ads?
Did I think? Okay, let me finish. Do I think that changed the outcome of the election? No, I don't. And it's why I've repeated, and it's why Hillary Clinton conceded, and it's why I believe Donald Trump was a free and fair elected president in 2016. Oh, yeah, by the way, before the 2016 election, the man who you support said 2016 was rigged, that Hillary and the Democrats were going to cheat. And then what happened? Donald Trump won, and all those comments about election integrity went away because it must have been fair, right? Because Donald Trump won, and then the second he loses, the second things don't go his way, he whines and he bitches with meritless claims of election fraud. It is a joke, and I cannot believe even people like you still buy into it.
Holy smoke. No, wait, hold on. This is just breaking right now. You're not going to believe this.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump has taken the lead 41-40 in New Jersey.
Well, I mean, listen, I don't know what kind of poll that is. I don't know how many people they asked. I mean, we don't know. So I'm not going to put too much merit into that right now. It doesn't surprise me that Donald Trump's going to get a bump everywhere after that debate last night. But I think we need to give it at least a week. Let's find out what Joe Biden is going to be doing, what the Democrat Party is going to be doing. I'm not going to be, I do think it'd probably be a good idea either to have another debate within a month or get somebody else to replace Joe Biden.
If I'm Trump, Brian, here's the thing. You want to debate? I don't want to debate, but here's the thing. We've changed positions. I don't need to debate anymore. You need to debate. Mm-hmm. Here are my rules. Here is my network. Mm-hmm. Here are my moderators.
Yeah.
You agree to this or we don't do it?
Listen,
that's how I would come at it.
I don't disagree from a strategy standpoint. You're right. I mean, Joe Biden is in a tougher spot today than he was yesterday. There's no question about that. I don't know what's going to happen, Carmine. I don't know what the Democrat Party is going to do. I don't know if there's going to be a replacement. I have no idea, but I will tell you this. I am nowhere near as confident that Joe Biden is going to win in November today as I was yesterday. And I think any fair person who's anti-Donald Trump, if you're a Democrat, whoever you are, you have to be able to admit that, and you can't be complicit about it. And I think those behind closed doors within the Democrat Party know that. So they're going to have to make a decision. They're going to have to decide what to do from here on out. But yesterday was not a good day for Joe Biden. It wasn't a good day for Democrats, but I don't think Donald Trump hit it out of the park either. He was the same moron that he always is, the lies and the conspiracy theories.
Well, the guy I wanted to hear from last night, I heard from, and I said it online, actually, if you go look, before he spoke, I said, the guy I want to hear from today is Van Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Because Van Jones is as straight a shooter as you get.
Unlike so many on the right, like Fox News and AON and Newsmax, who all wear the Donald Trump knee pads, who are never willing to admit that Donald Trump did anything wrong. So, yes, I would agree with you. Van Jones is a decent man.
I can't answer for other people. I admit when Trump is wrong. I can't answer other people.
The entire right wing is not willing to admit when Donald Trump does anything wrong.
I'm part of the right wing. I admit when he does. I complain about crap all the time.
Well, the big names on the right, Sean Hannity's, the Laura Ingrams, the Mark Levin's, the Tucker Carlsons, they coddle Donald Trump, and that's why it's a cult. I'm not necessarily saying you're a part of that cult, but it is a cult. Democrats across the country on the biggest networks in this country were admitting, like Van Jones, that this was a bad night for Joe Biden. You won't hear that from any staunch Republicans that are on Fox News or Newsmax because they are a joke and they are a part of a cult.
Let me ask you one more question about this. Is not about the debate.
Yes.
I'm going to pivot here.
Go ahead.
Alex Jones, a loathsome human being as far as I'm concerned.
Agree.
Did a horrible thing with Sandy Hook, but how do you feel about the punishment? Because when I look at this, there's the part of me that says, F them, right?
Yep.
But then there's the other part of me that says, is this a slippery slope on free speech?
Nope, absolutely not. Here's why. First of all, free speech pertains to the government. It doesn't pertain to private business. Number two, when he went on the air...
the government prosecuted him. The government prosecuted him.
But here's a very important distinction, okay? When you go on the air and you knowingly lie about something and it harms people to the point that they're receiving death threats and could incite violence, that's what we're talking... We're not just calling somebody a name. That's not what I'm talking about. He said something didn't happen and these parents were actors. What happened? They were able to prove in court that because of the things that Alex Jones said, they were getting harassment, they were getting death threats. And that is a direct cause of Alex Jones, and that is his fault. And he should be found liable, and he was.
Person.
Yeah, it's
He's
more
a horrible person.
It's okay to be a horrible person. It's not okay to incite violence and to cause people harm.
That's my question, though. My question is, did he believe the lies he was telling?
Oh, come on. Of course he didn't. The guy does it. He's clickbait. The only reason why he says the things he says...
You don't think he's just legitimately crazy?
No, I interviewed his ex-wife who knows him better than anybody. She's done this show before. No, he doesn't believe this stuff. He does this for money. Because he does this because he knows it'll make him money. He doesn't believe all the things that he says. Is he unhinged? Absolutely. Is he a little crazy? Absolutely. He knew that that shooting happened. Of course he did. He said those things because that whole network, by the way, and it's going away, is a joke. When you have, it's one thing to have an opinion like you and me, right, Carmine? You disagree with me on things, I disagree with you. We're not saying anything that's inciting violence or it's going to harm somebody. He did, and it harmed those parents to the point of they were getting death threats. You have to be held accountable for that.
Yeah, no, I have. Listen, my heart doesn't bleed for him at all. I just
sure.
You know, when I see something like that, my first thought is, is this one step closer to it? So, you know what I mean? Because believe me, if I had my way, InfoWars, by the way.
Oh, they're despicable.
InfoWars. I Googled, not Googled. I checked my name on their page. This is years and years ago.
Yep.
There was 12 pages of articles written by me.
Yeah.
That were posted on there as if I worked for them, and I had to send a letter. I was like, basically, and the tweet still exists somewhere. I was like, I don't want people thinking I work for this place.
Right. No, listen.
This is crazy.
I know, and
straight stole my work.
Yeah, listen, they're absolutely crazy people. There's no question about that. But the bottom line is, you know, there's always responsibility and accountability for your actions and the things that you say. Yes, there is something of freedom of speech, but there always are consequences for the things you say. Carmine, I got to leave it there, my friend, but I got to say this is a good-spirited debate. I appreciate it, as always, you coming on, my friend. And
I love it. I will say this. If Biden's the nominee, I believe he lost last night.
Very possible.
I believe he lost.
Very possible. You might be right on that. Very possible. If you had told me that 24 hours ago and that was your take on the election, I would respectfully have said I disagree with you. I think Biden still has the edge. After last night, I'm not so sure. There's a lot of people.
No, I think
there's a lot of people that feel
they need to take
that way.
your advice.
Yeah.
They need to take Van Jones' advice. If they want to win, they got to replace him quickly. Brian, thank you so much for having me today.
Carmine, you're the best, my friend. I appreciate your honesty.
Love you, brother.
I love you as well, Carmine. Thanks for the time, my friend. Appreciate you. That's Carmine Sabia, everybody. I appreciate his honesty. We're both honest people. We might disagree on some things, but I think it always makes for a good conversation, and I appreciate his time. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take some phone calls. We're going to take a quick break. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Jackson's Bar and Grill. They have some great promotions, including show your TAM card every Tuesday and in June, and you get a $50 free slot play credit. Also on Thursdays, yesterday they gave out $1,500 in gas cards. The more slot machines you play, the better chance you have to win free gas. Check them out, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Here is the number. I know a lot of people have been chomping at the bits to call in. This is your segment. 702-221-7283. And again, the number, if you want to chime in, 702-221-7283. We're taking your phone calls next. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on KSHP. Please check out my new website if you're a fan of the show, and I know it's the ever-growing show every single day. I get emails from people every day about how much they enjoy the show and their new listeners. Do me a favor now. We are independently owned. I ask, number one, you check out my new website. It's pushingthelimits.live. Again, that website, pushingthelimits.live. And you could sign up for my newsletter. That's free. You could check out some merchandise. That's not free, but reasonably priced merchandise, Pushing the Limits merchandise. There's a donate button there. I appreciate all of your support, whatever you guys can do. $5, $10 a month, whatever you can do, we appreciate it. Check it out, pushingthelimits.live. Just had a spirited debate with Carmine Sabia, right-wing pundit, good guy. Carmine's a really good guy. And I have some Republicans that come on this show, and even though I disagree with them, they're good people. And Carmine's a really good guy. We disagree on some things. But I thought that was a good spirited debate. This segment's now about you, taking some phone calls at 702-221-7283. Let's start off with Frank. Frank is first up on PTL. Hi, Frank.
Hey, how's it going? I'm
Good.
calling from New York. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, I got a lot of free time at my job, so it's kind of like I listen to podcasts all day.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, dude, that was quite a murder that Biden took.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd characterize it as a murder, but I think it was disappointing in that low, I hate to use a Trump term here, but low energy. I know he was ill, he wasn't feeling good, but don't put him out on the stage if he sounds like that. And he stumbled over his words and he struggled to get some of his points across. And unfortunately, in the day and age that we're living in now, performance is probably a little bit more important to some people than actual substance. And it was a disappointing day for Democrats and a disappointing night for Joe Biden. And I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm not going to start now. I'm always going to be honest.
Yeah, do you think it would have been better off if they also had RFK Jr. on stage?
Yes, it's a very good. It's a very good question. Yes, I think yes.
Honestly, like I was leaning towards Trump, and now I'm kind of like more like undecided.
Interesting.
Because it depends totally on who Trump picks for his vice president.
Yeah,
his running mate.
Sure.
I think if he picks Vivek, I would definitely lean into Trump. But if not, it's definitely RFK. I don't think anybody on the Democratic Party has really anybody I would want to vote for.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. I think Vivek is a snake. I mean, he's done this show before. He probably won't do it again. He's a snake. I have no respect for Ramaswamy. He spent his entire life selling drugs that don't work to pharmaceuticals, and he wears the Donald Trump knee pads, and he's a conspiracy theorist. But you mentioned RFK Jr. I said it yesterday. I said it the day before, and I'll say it again today. He deserved to be on that debate stage, and I thought that was unfortunate, and I blame both campaigns for that. He should have been on that debate stage. There were 12.5 million people that were watching him yesterday during the debate and, answering some questions during the debate in another location. And if there is another debate, RFK Jr. should be on there. So
because if you look at the numbers, if it's like this RFK versus Biden, RFK wipes him out the water, and he gives him a run for money if it's RFK and Trump.
I'm with you, my friend.
There's a real
Frank, I'm with you.
Third-party kind of chance for this.
Frank, we agree. I'm with you 100%, my friend. And thank you for calling in. You call back again sometime soon. I appreciate you, Frank. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Beverly. Beverly is next up on PTL. Hi, Beverly.
Hi, how are you today?
Hey, good. What's on your mind, Beverly?
I'm calling because I had the opportunity to look at the debate last night. Mm-hmm. And I do agree that President Biden was a little bit slow in his answering and that he, did some stumbling, but he has admitted already that he stutters. So that, in my opinion, should not have been a factor.
So, Beverly, can I ask you about that? I don't think, and you tell me if you disagree. I respect your opinion, but I don't think this was about a stutter yesterday. This was a man who struggled to put his thoughts together. We saw Joe Biden on a debate stage when he was trying to become president several years ago. This was not the same Joe Biden. I just can't sit here and say that it was just certainly the stuttering doesn't help. But the reason why I'm not using that is because look at the way he talked today in North Carolina. He wasn't stuttering. Look at the way he spoke on a debate stage years ago. He wasn't stuttering. So I just don't. I'm just not sure that was the reason why he had a bad night. That's all I'm saying.
I understand your point of view, but I will say this much. There were times when Donald Trump made statements, and they were off of the question. They were not based on the question that was asked of him.
Yeah.
And so when President Biden got ready to answer to that based on what Donald Trump said,
right,
he had to go back and kind of, look back at his notes and remember what he wanted to say.
No question. I don't disagree with you.
Donald
Listen,
Trump.
I don't disagree with you. Donald Trump did nothing but lie yesterday. Donald Trump didn't win
He
anything.
lied.
I am on your side on this 150%. For the idiots on the far right that are saying Donald Trump did such a great job, he lied literally about everything, and he wouldn't answer one direct question, and he was bragging about his golf handicap. And Joe Biden shouldn't have even engaged there. I thought that was very childish, too. That was a bad moment in the debate for both candidates. You're talking about your golf swing and how good you are on the golf course. But, Beverly, you're absolutely right, and I appreciate your call. I am not defending Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form. He was a joke last night. It was an embarrassment. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Joseph, who's next. Hi, Joseph.
Yeah, hey, Brian. First, I know that Joe Biden did not do well in the debate, but at least I did enjoy how he called out Trump for being a convicted felon, having an affair with a porn star, and Trump does have the morals of an alley cat, which is a good joke by him. And more important,
yep, I agree. Let me just respond. Let me just quickly respond to what you just said, Joseph.
Uh-huh.
So you're right. I'm glad he mentioned it. It wasn't forceful enough. He should have hit it home more than once. It was a 5-second moment where he called him a convicted felon. And when Donald Trump mentioned Hunter Biden, Joe Biden needed to take the next 2 minutes and attack Donald Trump on the convicted 34-count felon that he is. I just don't think it was enough, Joseph. He needed to hit it home harder. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and also, more importantly, I don't care what Trump says about Hunter, but me personally, at least I saw Hunter Biden go to court like a real man.
I agree. Joseph, you know what went through my mind, Joseph? Why didn't Joe Biden talk about that? When Donald Trump brought up Hunter Biden, why didn't Joe say, my son didn't attack the judge, he didn't attack the jury, he wasn't holding crybaby, bitchy press conferences every day? Joe Biden needed to say that. That was a moment. It was an opening, and Joe Biden didn't do it. I agree with you, Joseph. That was a moment, wasn't it?
It was. Oh, that is the moment I'm hoping for. But I sure hope he would. I'm hoping if there's another debate.
I do too.
I hope he does get. I hope Biden does get better, and I want him to speak out everything about Trump, about him being a crybaby in court, and how.
I'm going to tell you, Joseph. I agree, but I got to tell you, my friend. I got to tell you, I don't think there's going to be another debate unless the Democrat Party puts somebody else in there. If you're Donald Trump, why do you want another debate? Why would you agree to another debate? I agree with you, Joseph. I hope there's another debate as well. It's the only case I think the Democrats can make to keep Joe Biden out there. Give me one more debate. Give him another chance. If he doesn't have another chance, I don't know if he wins in November. I am that worried right now. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next on PTL. What's up, Mark?
How you doing, Brian?
Hey, what's up?
A couple of things. I want to mention a few things that Biden did during the campaign, but first I want to say that to agree to speaking first on the final comments, what a huge error that was, that the campaign decided that Biden's going to give the first final speech, and then Trump can retaliate.
There was a coin flip. Yeah, there was a coin flip. That's why.
Oh, my.
Yep.
Now, there was one point during the debate that Biden looked down at the podium, and he was asked a question, and he didn't pick his head. He didn't move. He just stood with his head down for about 10 to 15 seconds.
Right.
And it was sort of like a Mitch McConnell moment. Like,
Yes.
I'm saying to myself, what
Correct.
are you doing?
Yeah, you're right. I thought exactly what you thought when that happened. I know the moment you're talking about. Listen, he's an old man, and he proved it last night. He's a good man.
Now, here's one more thing I want to bring up, okay? Just one more out of all the things. I don't even want to bring up that Biden's getting into an argument with golf bags. I'll carry golf bags. And then he corrects himself and says, well, anyway, let's move on. I don't get that. But he was talking about abortion. And then he brings up, well, an illegal immigrant entered the country and killed a woman and then stopped in his tracks. And then when Trump retaliated, he said, Biden's right. There was immigrants that came into the country and killed women. What the hell is Biden saying?
I agree with you once again. That was another cringeworthy moment, my friend, and you bring up some really good ones there. I agree with you. There were openings, so many openings that Joe Biden had yesterday, and he didn't take advantage of it. Every single topic, I felt like almost every single topic was an opportunity for him to take advantage, and you're absolutely right. He didn't do it. All right, number to call, 702-221-7283. And again, that number to call, we're talking about, obviously, the debate last night. Are you worried? Who do you think won the debate? Are you worried? 702-221-7283. Let's go to Carl. Carl is next on PTL. Hi, Carl.
Hey, hi, Brian. I'll tell you the truth. I was disappointed, as you probably were, with Biden. I mean, obviously, for reasons. But you got to look at it this way. The moderators, Trump, 75% of the questions given to Trump, he bypassed, didn't answer them. Decided to argue with Biden.
Yep.
He wouldn't answer a question about any subject, and about 75% of the answers he gave were lies, because when this is all fact checked, which it will be, all his answers, it'll come out that 75, 80%
well, I
of
gave,
all his answers were lies.
I listed, just from my own notes alone, I listed about 10 of them that I wrote down during the debate, and then I fact-checked myself, and I was right. I mean, listen, Carl, I'm not sitting here defending Donald Trump. You know that. I'm also saying I would vote for a vegetable, and I'm not talking about Joe Biden. I'm just saying I would vote for a vegetable over Donald Trump. But we're not talking about me. We're not talking about people like you. We're talking about independents and those that are on the fence and moderate Republicans, and Joe Biden didn't do himself any favors last night. That's just the reality. I'm not going to lie to anybody. That's the reality.
Yeah, of course. But I think you want to be honest with you. What's going to happen is Michelle Obama is going to be when the convention comes up, she is going to be nominated to run for president. And I'll tell you exactly why. I think I mentioned it to you once before, because she will get 98% of the black vote.
Mm-hmm.
She will get 95% of the women's votes.
Yes.
She will get most of the Democrat votes.
But Carl,
I mean, it'll be such a landslide.
Carl, I don't disagree with you, but here's the thing. I haven't heard from one person, not one credible source, that she wants to be anywhere near the White House again. I agree with you. It would be a landslide victory for Democrats. I don't think she wants to be anywhere near the White House. I appreciate the call, Carl, but I think right now it's a pipe dream. I wish you were right, Carl. I wish Michelle Obama would enter the race today. The elections would be over. She would wipe the floor clean with Donald Trump. She's smarter than he is. She's a decent human being. She's more educated. Across the board, I agree with you. I don't think she wants to run, Carl. So appreciate the call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Paul. Paul is next up on PTL. What's going on, Paul?
Oh, hey, man. Hey, I want to talk about the debates. I just wanted to say one quick thing. I love that you had debates with Republicans and Democrats. I just want to say, don't forget that Carmine is supporting a man who raped a woman, is a 34-time convicted felon, but he's going to dismiss that because he likes his policies. I think not you, but our society is normalizing that to some extent. Does that make sense the way I'm saying that?
It makes absolute sense, and it's the moral compass character type question that I ask Republicans constantly, which is, how can you support a 34-count felon, someone that sexually abused a woman? How can you support somebody like that? And I never get a really good, solid answer from them. Never.
It's disgusting that we accept policy over morality. Is really a sad thing for a party that I used to be a part of for many, many, many years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so the debate I was watching through my fingers most of the time. That was hard to watch. Now, why he's that way today in Virginia, why he wasn't that person yesterday, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But that's who he is. He's in it. Like, I agree. He's in a serious. I was listening to debate groups, what they're called focus groups, when they have voters and they talk to them.
Yep.
There was people that were like, I may not vote after that now. I don't want to vote for either of them. And I think a lot of Americans are tired of the system as it is, a two-party system that has all the money and all the power, and we're always left with voting for the lesser of two evils. No, those are crappy choices to make. I think he needs, and I say this, and I'm the same way. I'll vote for a peanut butter sandwich over Trump because he's a fascist. But I think he needs to step out. I think it's going to end up being like Harris Newsom or something like that. I really do.
It's got to happen today. I don't know what they're waiting for.
I agree.
Yeah, the longer they wait, the worse it becomes for Democrats. I'm not sure that our vice president right now would be the best choice. She's a very educated lady. She doesn't resonate well with the American people. The polling shows that. I think Gavin Newsom would have probably, other than Michelle Obama, I think Gavin Newsom would probably have the best chance today. And the decision needs to be made now. They can't wait 2 or 3 months from now. It's got to be made now.
I don't disagree. You don't think that Hillary has? You think that vote is sailed? Or do you think after what he did?
If Hillary wants a rematch, give it to her. I would choose her over Gavin Newsom. If Hillary wants a rematch, give her the opportunity. I am all for it because she, I believe, learned from some of her mistakes. But again, it has to happen now. They need time to campaign. They need time to get out there. And you know what? It'd be advantage Democrats because Joe Biden's still the president. They don't have to govern, right? Like Trump doesn't have to govern. They'd be able to get out there and campaign. It'd be the best thing to happen to Democrats right now. So I'm with you, Paul.
And the last thing I'll say is, and there's all these protest votes, right, that are happening in like Minnesota and Wisconsin with Palestine. If Hillary went in there, that whole narrative, I'm not saying it would go away, but she's not carrying that baggage like Joe Biden is. So that section of the voting population that are undecided or that are going away from Joe Biden because of that, she has an opportunity to step in and give them a fresh look.
Agree.
And get some of those voters back. That's something I think is being overlooked to some extent.
I'm worried that they're not going to do that. I'm worried that they're going to keep.
I am too.
I'm worried they're going to keep Joe in there, and I think that's a really big mistake at this point. But Paul, we'll have to wait and see what happens, my friend. It's going to be an interesting 5-6 months, and the elections are right around the corner, and I'm worried. But if they put Hillary Clinton in there, if they put Michelle Obama in there, if they put Gavin Newsom in there, those are my three. You put any of those three in there, I think they have a really good shot at defeating Cheeto Jesus. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Tracy. Tracy is next up on PTL. Hi, Tracy. Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. I'm in Colorado. How are you today?
Doing good, Tracy. Where are you? What do you got on your mind today?
Oh, a couple of things. So I don't know who that Carmine person was that you were speaking with. He kind of cracked me up with some of the things he was saying. But I don't look. Everybody's talking about the debate, right? And from everybody I've talked to, including my Republican friends, now look, I'm not talking about MAGA cult members. You want to know what they're mostly talking about? What? Trump and his lies. That's what every single person has mentioned how Joe Biden did not do well last night.
Right.
But then the conversation is quickly going to the amount of lies that Trump talked about last night. I mean, I was literally beating my head against the wall every time he spoke.
You're right.
Because it was a lie.
You're right. Listen, you're absolutely right. And while we're not in a cult, and what I mean by that is whatever Donald Trump does, whatever he says, the lies, whatever, Trump world will say he won, he did a great job. They're not willing to admit anything. They're not willing to admit anything that all these Democrats, not all of them, but a lot of them on television were willing to admit yesterday, that last night was a rough night for Joe Biden. And that's the big distinction between the media and Republicans and MAGA Republicans and even Joe Biden supporters. They're willing to admit that Joe had a tough night. That is why these people are in a cult. You watch Newsmax, they won't criticize Donald Trump for anything. He could say there's nothing wrong with rape and they wouldn't even talk about it. I mean, this is a cult that they are in. It's a cult.
Well, in the ridiculous, I mean, look at all the stuff that Joe Biden called out on Trump last night, and he makes the comment, I didn't sleep with a prostitute.
Yeah.
Excuse me, there's 8 hours of testimony about you sleeping with a porn star.
I'm sure you
right?
just
Like,
I'm sure you just signed a $130,000 check out of the goodness of your heart. The guy hasn't given anybody anything in his life unless he had something in it for himself. It is laughable. It is pathetic. It is disgusting. And as poor of a job that Joe Biden did yesterday, I will still take somebody who stumbles over their words, who has gaffes, and even might have some cognitive difficulties over a man who literally intentionally lies about everything and won't answer a direct question, who maybe doesn't have the cognitive. And by the way, you can make the argument he does that Joe Biden has. But I appreciate the call, dear. It's gonna be a crazy next 4 or 5 months. The Democrat Party has some very difficult decisions to make. Let's go to Herb. Herb is next on PTL. Hello, Herb.
Really surprised at you. I don't want to get into an argument with you, but let me say something. You're avoiding the key reason why what happened last night and what happened today at a speech in North Carolina, there were two distinct differences. And there's one reason why. And you don't bring it up.
Well, why don't you enlighten me?
I sure will.
Yeah.
The difference was he was reading off a teleprompter today, and at the State of the Union speech, he wasn't reading off a teleprompter last night, and he cannot think on his feet. That's why his handlers, that's why his administration won't let him have press conferences or let him answer questions when he makes a statement.
So let me ask you a question.
He won't answer. He will not take questions.
Okay, I got your point.
Okay?
Now let me respond to what you just said. Have you ever?
Do you agree? Do you agree with me on that?
I'm going to respond to what you just said if you will allow me to. Will you allow me to respond? Okay, I'm going to respond.
Sure, I will.
Thank you. I'm going to respond the way I would like to respond to it. That might be true that it was more scripted today, but Joe Biden's voice was very different. He had a lot more energy on stage today, and we needed that type of energy yesterday on the stage. Now I'm going to ask you a question. What would you say?
I know you would.
What would you say? What, I'm not allowed to ask questions on a radio show?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go right ahead.
It sounded like you didn't like that the host of a radio show can't ask a caller a question. Very interesting. But anyway, I'm going to ask it anyway, whether you like it or not. When Donald Trump is off script, you think he does a really good job?
I think he does a lot better than Joe Biden.
I didn't ask you if he did.
Really
I did not ask
he
you.
does a lot
Herb,
better. Yes,
Herb, now you're not
I think-
answering.
yes,
Hey, Herb,
I do.
now you're not
Yes.
answering my question. So I'm going to ask it again.
I just did.
No, you didn't.
I just did.
No, the question,
Yes, I did.
why don't you listen and stop talking? The question wasn't, does Donald Trump do a better job than Joe Biden when he's ad-libbing? That wasn't the question. I need you to pay attention. The question was, do you think Donald Trump does a really good job when he's off script? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Herb, and that's why you're part of the Klan cult. Thank you for calling in. The answer is obviously no. When Donald Trump is off script, he forgets Nancy Pelosi's name with one of his political opponents. He says you need ID to buy bread. He says Jeb Bush got us into the war in Iraq. He says he defeated Barack Obama. The answer is no, and that is why you're a Klan cultist, because you can't answer a question honestly, sir. I gave you an honest answer. I'm so glad that this guy called in, because that's exactly what I'm talking about. He wants to make the case that Donald Trump is really good off script, when you know that the ones that are running his campaign are scared when he is off script, because then he'll start talking about sharks, okay? Then he'll start talking about how great his golf swing is, and then he'll continue with the nonsense that he spews on a regular basis. But thank you for proving to everybody what I already knew, that you guys are part of a cult. A Klan cult is what you're a part of. Good luck buying your gold sneakers and your Trump Bibles, because you have zero credibility. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Vivian. Vivian is next on PTL. Hi, Vivian.
Hi, Brian. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. What's on your mind?
Okay, so yes, I was disappointed with what happened at the debate. The only thing Trump said truthfully was his name at the beginning. After that, that was it. Everything that came out that man's mouth was a lie.
Yeah.
I was disappointed that Biden wasn't stopping him. I was disappointed that Jake now wasn't stopping him. I'm like, who's going to stop him from saying that? That's a lie. That's all I was saying the whole time. That's a lie. That's a lie. Why isn't somebody saying something? I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is crazy. And this is what everybody's hearing. And this is what happens when he goes on Fox News and all those other stations. They listen to him spouting that stuff, and nobody
So I
says anything
agree.
about
That's
it
something.
being a lie.
So Vivian, that's something that not a lot of people in the media are talking about today. And as you know, I mentioned that in the first segment. I have a lot of respect for the two moderators that were on that stage yesterday. But I think, in my in my personal opinion, they were afraid to fact check Trump, and maybe afraid is the wrong word, but they were hesitant to do so because of all the pushback from Trump and his handlers that it was going to be an unfair debate, and that's very unfortunate. I've been the moderator of
too much time to fact check.
I've been the moderator of debates before.
Mm-hmm.
The job of a moderator is to ask questions and separate fact from fiction. If somebody says the earth is flat, no, Mr. President, there's no evidence that the earth is flat. If somebody says that he won the 2020 election, no, Mr. President, there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud. There were probably 30 times where the moderators could have done that. I'm very disappointed in them for doing so.
What do you think about the decision that came from the Supreme Court today in reference to J6 people?
I'll be honest with you. I have not taken a look at that. I've been so engulfed in the debate last night. But Vivian, you have my promise. You could ask me that question on Monday, and I'll answer that for you. I've been engulfed in the debate last night, so I'm going to have to take a look at that, Vivian, and I appreciate your call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Julie. Julie is next on PTL. Hello, Julie.
Hello, Brian. Well, regarding the debate, Biden has no solution for the border. First of all, he doesn't need anything from Trump. He had a pencil. I told you that he can pass an executive order, and he didn't do anything.
What do you mean? What do you mean he has no? Okay, this is
correct.
Okay, this is the time I'm going to respond now to
Stop
what you just
blaming
said.
Trump.
Julie, both of us talk at the same time. It's not going to be good for the listeners. You just made a statement. Now I'm going to respond to it. Joe Biden did have solutions for the border, and there was a bipartisan bill that was put together several months ago. MAGA Republicans and Democrats put it together. You are absolutely wrong, okay? Donald Trump's only solution is he wants to deport everybody and put kids in cages. So, Julie, as usual, you're wrong.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah, please do.
Who is controlling the Senate? Who is the majority in the Senate? Republicans or Democrats?
Julie, it's academic to what I just said.
Respond that to me.
It's academic to what I just said. Completely academic.
Who is the majority, who has the majority in the Senate?
It doesn't matter who has the majority. There was a bipartisan bill. Okay, Julie.
Biden can
Okay, Julie, I can't have a conversation with you. You're all over the place. The first part of this conversation was you saying that Joe Biden has no solutions. Not true. First of all, you saw what he did on the cap of those that are seeking asylum. He just put that into play last month. There was a bipartisan bill that was put into place. It is academic whether Republicans or Democrats have control of the Senate. There was a bipartisan bill that was put together. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. All right, who do we have next on the list? Let's take a look, and then we got to go to break. We'll take a few more callers, and then we got to go to break. Numchuck, who do we got next here? Kevin? Let's go to Kevin, who's next up on PTL. Hi, Kevin. What's going on? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how's it going? I'm calling from Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
All right, Florida. What's up, Kev? What's on your mind?
I'm just curious. I can't seem to, for the life of me, understand why nobody is bringing up Dr. Cornel West.
Well, I mean, he has no chance to win. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's an educated man. I think he's a little cuckoo with some things, but Cornel West has no chance. Surely you don't think he has a chance to win, do you?
Well, I think he's the only person telling any truth. And so the truth always has a chance to win. Don't you agree?
Yeah, but in what way do you think Joe Biden is lying? I mean, why would you give me an example?
It's not. Well, I guess he's lying to himself if he's not lying to us, and just in terms of his mental acuity. I mean, the guy's clearly feeble. We love him to death. He's a sweet man, but
maybe
maybe
complicit. But I don't necessarily think I would call him a liar in the way I would call Donald Trump a liar.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
Lies of omission are definitely still, not necessarily truth. And the truth is the only thing that's going to save us at this point. And I don't think there's anybody telling more truth than Dr. Cornel West.
Well, I think the truth, though, of the matter is, regardless of what your feelings are on Cornel West, he has no chance to get enough support. And we have to look at the reality
Well,
of the situation.
you brought up RFK Jr. He's got no chance either.
I
mean,
never
he's got
said RFK Jr. has about 1,000 times more support than Cornel West does. If you did a poll right now, Cornel wouldn't get 1% of the vote that RFK Jr. is getting. He's got at least 10%
I think it just
of the
depends
vote.
on who you're polling. I've never personally been polled myself. I don't know very many people who have actually been polled. I think these polls are kind of farces.
Can you name me one poll that shows Cornel West defeating Robert F. Kennedy Jr.?
I can't name you a single poll that I believe that's truthful, a truthful representation of the lion's share of the American people.
I mean, you're entitled to that opinion, my friend. All I'm simply saying is I don't think Cornel West has any opportunity to win anything. He just doesn't have enough support. But I appreciate your call, Kevin. But it's either going to be Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or whoever the Democrats possibly replace him with. That's who's going to be the next president, Kevin. But I appreciate your call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Larry. Larry is next up on PTL. What's going on, Larry? How you doing?
Brother.
Hello?
I don't have much to say, just a little bit about the debate.
Okay.
You know, you either want Biden or you want a convicted felon running your country. You know, you either want Biden. That is just that simple. Running your country.
Okay, I think we had a little bit of a delay there, Larry. I apologize for that. But you're right. You're welcome to call back and share your opinions. But I agree. We either have a convicted felon or Joe Biden right now as it stands. Let's go to another Larry. We have Larry number 2 on the line. Hello, Larry.
Okay, I was kind of confused there. What's going on?
That's okay. Go ahead.
It's like, whoa. No, I just want to chime in and just say, look, because I was just going all over the place last night online and going back and forth with people. We've got to understand, and folks were challenging me saying, are you going to throw him out because of one debate? No, I admire Joe. I mean, what he has done to this country, what he stands for.
Sure.
I admire him.
As do I.
If for those who have been paying attention, this wasn't about one debate. I've been watching him since he was the vice president when he did a very good job. But for the last 4 years, we have seen this coming. And for those of us who have actually been paying attention and not just watching taking the talking points of any certain network, we've seen this coming. Right. It is time. We have two choices. We nominate what I'm probably a sitting governor in an open convention, or we have 4 more years of this orange guy. I mean, our choices are simple. I'm not being dramatic, but I just want to chime in. It's very clear. Desperate times require desperate measures.
I understand. And as I've said before, and I'd say it again, I'll vote for a peanut butter sandwich over Donald Trump. I'm with you.
Joe
Biden is a decent man. He's a good man. I think it's clear that he's been in a little bit of cognitive decline. It was not a good performance yesterday. Need a rematch. If the Democrats want to replace him with somebody else, I don't have a problem with that either. But I'm with you. The last person I would ever vote for is Donald Trump, my friend. And I do appreciate your phone call, and you're absolutely right. Thank you so much. All right. I don't want to take a break. I want to go right to my next guest because we're running out of time here. And how could I forget of a lady you've seen her, of course, on Dr. Phil. You've seen her multiple times on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. She's a former evangelical Christian and pastor, and now she is a life coach, and she's gotten out of that lifestyle. I think she'd be a pretty good debater, too, if she ever decided to become a politician. The beautiful Nicole Mitchell joining us right now. Nicole, thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm so good, Brian. Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday to you. I don't even know if you had an opportunity to watch any of the debate. You have a lot of other things on in your life. And but I don't know, did you get a chance to watch any of it or the highlights last night?
No, I just saw people's responses to it. I instead performed for my OnlyFans because I thought that might be better than the debate itself.
That was probably a more enjoyable performance to watch than the actual debate up there yesterday. So I could totally understand why that would be a little bit more important. You know, we do talk a lot about X on this show. I brought up Elon Musk a bunch of times. I do feel like he's a man, obviously, with a lot of money that also has a huge ego. And when he does things, though, he does them pretty big. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about his 53rd birthday party, which got a lot of press. How did he celebrate his 53rd birthday?
I didn't hear how he celebrated. I just heard it was his birthday today, that he turned 53 today. How did he celebrate?
Well, what I have heard, and I've heard this through a couple different people, is that tonight he's holding an enormous party at his home. with obviously only invited guests, and he's spent millions of dollars putting this all together. I actually thought Elon was a little bit older than 53. I thought he was a little bit older than that.
I did too. And you know what? He deserves, I mean, I think I have issues with the guy. Obviously, he's has lots of problems, but
Sure.
he has done a lot of good in the world. Like, I just think about how he's made electric cars affordable and normal, how he's made even space exploration more affordable as well. And like,
Yes.
I was reading last night that he's put in the beginning, so probably even more now, but in the beginning, he put 70 million of his own dollars into Tesla. He put 100 billion of his own dollars into SpaceX. So like, when it comes to like global collective good, he's done a lot. He's also, I think, kind of a douchey person, and I don't I don't care for him in a lot of other ways, but I try to give credit where credit is due. So I do think it's pretty awesome what he's done for the world in those ways.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his personally, but he certainly has put his money where his mouth is, and he's had quite the career. I think we all could probably agree on that. You know, I talk about same-sex marriage on this show a lot. I talk about the LGBTQ community a lot. I talk about equality a lot on this show. And this is a remarkable day as far as Canada is concerned, because it's the anniversary back in 2005 where they legalized same-sex marriage. Still, there is a contingent of people on the evangelical right that are totally against same-sex marriage. I don't understand it, but this is a remarkable anniversary day for Canada.
Yes, I saw a tweet yesterday that made me laugh where it said, if you're against gay marriage, you can just say no when a gay person proposes to you. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. You don't have to marry a gay person if you don't want to.
You know, and I have these conversations all the time where people feel like their kids are being indoctrinated, and you hear that word indoctrination all the time. You know, they make it sound like you can just tell somebody to be gay, and then all of a sudden the next day they're going to be gay. I mean, can you describe to people how that's not really how this works?
Yeah, people act like being gay is contagious, which if it was, it's a good thing because being gay is awesome. So you're welcome if it was contagious. Unfortunately, it is not contagious. And it's funny because I always try to explain indoctrination like this. If we were currently living in an Islamic country where the main religion and everything is centered around being Muslim, and you are trying to teach your children about your Christian faith, you are not indoctrinating your children in the Christian faith. You're just providing them another option, letting them know that even though society at large is Muslim and Islamic, there's another option here. This isn't the only belief system. That's how I view LGBTQ conversations. Like, we live in a very heteronormative, heterosexual centered culture. And when you tell your children about LGBTQ options and understanding, you're not indoctrinating, you're informing, you're educating them. There's more to society, there's more to relationships than just heterosexual options. So I just try to help people understand it's not indoctrinating, you're educating, and education is important to make an informed decision.
No question about that. And what does it say, though, that we're still in 2024 and we still see prominent people calling people who are gay death sinners? We see the hatred. I mean, I've seen some pretty funny memes where, hey, it's Gay Pride Month, so we hope you homophobes can be as uncomfortable as possible, which I think is kind of funny. I think that's the problem in society today. One of the main problems is just leave people alone, let them be happy. You know, you have your own beliefs. You can believe what you want. Stop infringing on other people's beliefs and what they want to do. It could be their sexuality. It could be anything, right? And they hide behind their religion. We talk about this a lot. And I just think it's really unfortunate that here we are in 2024, where there's a percentage of the country, way too large of a percentage, that of people that believe gay marriage is a sin and it shouldn't be allowed.
It is pretty bonkers. And I really do hope with our younger generations, where it's becoming more and more normal at a younger and younger age, that it will just hopefully become a non-issue. I don't know. America is progressive in so many ways and so backwards in so many other ways, but I hope that it just becomes normal and it just becomes a non-issue someday.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the triggers for me in that, you know, I support people, even though they might have a different sexuality from me. They might look different than me. They have a different upbringing from me. I just want everybody to be treated fairly. And I don't know why so many people have a problem with that. And the word indoctrination, I think, is word used way too much. What is your take? I never even asked you this. 10 Commandments being shown in public schools in at least one state in this country already. I mean, where is this country headed?
Oh my God. It's just mind-boggling to me because, like, if you want to put up that religion's 10 commandments, then you have to let other religions put up their their books and their rules and their religion. Like you can't just choose one religion and saying you're not favoring one. Like if you wouldn't let Muslims do that with their book, then why are you letting yourself do that with your book? So I just think there's such a double standard and hypocrisy with that. And it irks me.
Hypocrisy, I talk about on this show almost every single day. And it gets really frustrating because, my body, my choice when it comes to vaccinations. Okay, no problem. But then all of a sudden it's not my body, my choice when it comes to the abortion issue. It's the second biggest issue on Americans' minds. And there's a lot of women in this country that are very worried that if Donald Trump gets back in office, there'll be a national abortion ban. Does that worry you at all?
It wouldn't have until Roe v. Wade happened and got overturned. I never thought that would happen. So yeah, there's concern there of like we live in a country where women's healthcare and rights are actively taken away. LGBTQ rights are actively taken away. So yeah, there's concern that more rights will be taken away with the potential next president.
I don't think I ever asked you about this. What are your thoughts on transgenders? And, if a 10 or 11-year-old pre-puberty or 8-year-old parents agree to it, the doctors agree to it, are you okay with like an 8, 9, or 10-year-old getting transgender surgery? Is there a limit for you? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I tend to be more open-minded where like if the kid's on board, the parents are on board, the medical team, the therapists are all on board, I think you have all the experts in place. You've had the conversations. I have trans friends who've literally known since age 3 their correct gender, and to make them suffer in a gender that is not theirs to go past puberty is detrimental to so many trans people. So I am in support of believing the children, getting the support that they need, getting all the medical professional opinions. And if they are in agreement that the best thing for this kid is honoring their correct gender, then let's honor their correct gender.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Just leave people alone, stay out of people's lives, let them do what they want to do as long as it's legal. And I just think that so many of these people that talk about children, whether it's being indoctrinated or transgender surgery, are usually those that don't have kids themselves. And it doesn't affect them one bit, but yet they want to talk about others. And I find it to be so strange. Speaking of I like to end on a good, wholesome, cool story. And this is a really cool story in the UK where a young child, I didn't even know that this was possible, has received a brain transplant, a successful one. I didn't know that I've heard of heart transplants and other organs. I've never heard of a brain transplant. If that's the case, boy, there's a lot of people within the Republican Party today that I think could use a brain transplant. Marjorie Taylor Greene would be number one on my list, but I didn't even know this was possible though. A brain transplant. Tell me about this.
You crack me up. I love you. So I don't know if there's a full brain transplant, though I don't see that being too far from the future. I think this kid particularly had seizures and they were able to put something in his brain, like some device to actually prevent seizures, which is like a huge medical breakthrough. Because like I have a girlfriend who has seizures and the only thing that they can do right now for her is medication and hope that prevents it. But this is like going down to the actual root and like stimulating part of the brain so it doesn't respond when it tries to have a seizure. And so this kid is able to now live a life where, because I think they were saying this kid would have up to 100 seizures a day. Like no quality of life, could never be left alone. Sometimes the seizures would be so bad, he'd have to be resuscitated because he'd stop breathing. And for the first time ever, his family said he's like horseback riding, he's running, he's playing, like he's actually a kid again. And I think that is unbelievable that we have the technology to create something, plant it somewhere in someone's freaking brain, and have that good of a result.
Such a feel-good story, and I'm so happy for the young man that it was a successful surgery. And there's a lot of people that we know in society, right, that suffer from seizures. And I just saw a video, I don't know if you saw it, of Celine Dion. She's doing a documentary, and right in the middle of the documentary, when the cameras are on her, she's having a terrible seizure. It's really difficult to watch, but also important to know that there's a lot of people out there that are suffering. And if this type of thing can be done more and works, think about all the people out there that it could affect in a positive way. I think it's great. Nicole, what do you got going on this weekend?
I'm going to hang out my OnlyFans. Come hang out. I'm going to have a pool day tomorrow and I have a photo shoot. So it'll be a good weekend.
I can't wait to see how those pictures come out. They'll probably come out a lot better than any pictures of me at a pool. I'll tell you that. But Nicole, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on, and we will catch up with you next week. Okay.
See you next week, Brian.
All right. Have a good one. That's Nicole Mitchell, everybody. Always love getting her takes on pop culture and feel good stories that are happening. I know this today's show was very Debate heavy, right? Rightfully so. And we'll have more coverage next week. I don't know what the Democrat Party is going to do. I don't know if there'll be another debate. There's a lot of unanswered questions right now, but I think we all could probably agree changes could be made. I don't know if they will be made. We will have to wait and see. But I think it's going to be a wild ride here these next several months. I think if the Democrats are going to make a change, it has to be done like in the next couple of days. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't have the answer for you. It very well could. If you asked me a couple days ago if I thought that was going to happen, I would say absolutely not. After last night, could happen. And quite frankly, I think it should. But unlike conservative talk shows here in Las Vegas, if you want to call them shows, I call them right-wing echo chamber idiots that do shows here and throughout the country. I'm always going to be honest with you. The people who drink the orange Kool-Aid, who wear the Donald Trump knee pads, that think that he's the next Messiah, that buy the shoes and the Bibles, the Trump Bibles, they're not willing to admit anything Donald Trump does or says, anything in his life he's done, the things he says that are despicable. They're not willing to call that out. They have zero credibility. And I'll always give it to you straight on this show, as I tried to do today. And I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'll vote for a ham sandwich over Donald Trump. But last night was a rough night for Joe Biden. And we'll have to wait and see how this plays out within the party. Do me a favor, if you like what I do, and I'm very appreciative of all of you, the calls I get every day on this show. I am so humbled by it and appreciate all of you, your support of what I do. I just ask that you do one thing. Check out my new website, pushingthelimits.live. We are independently owned here. Okay? So we rely on people like you to check out the website. Great merchandise we have on there, Pushing the Limits merchandise. There's the donate button there if you don't want to buy anything. And we appreciate your support because, we rely on people like you, the good people out there that love this show and love what I do. I'd like to think that there's not a lot of people that are doing what I do on the air every day. Trying to get both sides of an issue, giving you my opinions on it, and interviewing people that I disagree with on a regular basis. There are cowards in conservative echo chamber radio that are not going to do that. I try to do it on this show every single day. So I appreciate all of you for joining us. Check out my website again, pushingthelimits.live. And we will see you live, back on the air, same time, same place on Monday. I appreciate all of you for calling in today. Could be an interesting weekend. Could be some breaking news. We'll report it all for you on Monday. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Yeah. Check.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey culminates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
Clear Sky Resorts invites you to experience the future of luxury glamping at their newest resort, opening August 1st, 2024 near Bryce Canyon. Guests at the first and only glass-domed stargazing resort in the U.S. will be immersed in the stunning scenery of the resort's private 80-acre canyon, both indoors and out, and nights in your sky dome will be like sleeping in an aquarium of stars. Located in Cannonville, Utah, on scenic Byway 12, voted one of the most scenic roads in America, the resort will feature lots of fun on-resort activities, as well as one of the world's largest glass-domed restaurants. To book your reservation, please call 1-888-704-4445 or visit Clear Sky Resort.
Immersive Disney animation is the groundbreaking experience of a lifetime, featuring the animated sights and sounds of Disney's most iconic films, from The Lion King to Frozen to Encanto and more. Step into the magic of Disney's greatest characters. Immersive Disney